This screencast will be an introduction to Shakespeare and his sonnets. Like Marlowe, Shakespeare grew up in the merchant class. His father was a successful glove maker. He married Anne Hathaway in 1581. Oh, and it's the Anne on the right, not the one on the left. She was 26 years old and he was only 18 when they got married. Truth be told, it was probably one of those rush marriages, since they had a daughter just 6 months after the wedding. Later on, they had twin sons. By 1592, he's acting on stage in London and is already a well-known playwright. His family didn't come with him to London. Anne and his children, they stayed at Stratford in the house there. In 1599, Shakespeare opened the Globe Theatre in London so that he could have more control over the production of his plays. So, this is probably what it looked like in Shakespeare's time, and this is what the Globe Theatre in London looks like today. Shakespeare died in April of 1616 at the age of 52. In his will, he left everything to his daughter Susanna, except for one thing. He left his wife Anne his, quote, second best bed, unquote. Now, a lot of scholars considered this to be something of a slap in the face to Anne. I mean, why didn't he leave her their best bed? Well, the answer is pretty simple. In those days, the best bed in the house was reserved for guests, so the husband and wife slept in the second best bed. His gift to her was their own bed, their marriage bed, and it was probably a much more loving and sentimental gift than it first appears. One of the most interesting questions about Shakespeare is whether he really ever existed at all. I love this quote by Charles Dickens. Quote, "It is a great comfort to my way of thinking that so little is known concerning the poet. The life of Shakespeare is a fine mystery, and I tremble every day lest something should turn up." So, Dickens enjoyed the mystery of Shakespeare's existence, and we'll kind of talk about that just a little bit. You will find a link to a YouTube video in this module that shows clips from the PBS video Much Ado About Something. The whole video is available online, but you can just watch the shorter version if you like. In this documentary, veteran documentary filmmaker Michael Rubo asserts that Christopher Marlowe is the prime suspect in the question of who wrote Shakespeare's plays. A rogue, freethinker, and atheist, Marlowe was also the most influential playwright of his day until his murder in 1593. But was he really killed? As scholar Calvin Hoffman argues in this film, Marlowe could have faked his death and fled to Italy to write some of the Western world's great works. At the same time, Rubo argues Shakespeare's lack of an education — he reportedly did not own a single book — makes it unlikely that he penned such learned works as Titus Andronicus and The Tempest. The BBC weighed in on the issue, looking at the evidence and giving their opinion on Shakespeare. One of the arguments that they make in favor of those who say that there was never an actual poet named William Shakespeare is the lack of information about the early part of Shakespeare's life. There were pretty good public records being kept during Shakespeare's lifetime, and it is surprising that we have very little information about him before he became famous. Like Rubo, they noted that there are many theorists who suggest that Shakespeare's plays were written by his rival Christopher Marlowe, who was murdered in May 1593. Other scholars theorize that Shakespeare's work were written by Francis Bacon or the Earl of Oxford. Even with all of these theories, however, serious historians say documents about the later years of Shakespeare's life strongly suggest that he did indeed exist. I've got an open mind on this subject. On one hand, there was so much cloak and dagger involved in Marlowe's life that faking his death and sending him off to Italy doesn't seem so far-fetched as it might otherwise. On the other hand, I like the idea of inspired genius, that somebody like Shakespeare could write such incredible plays and poetry. I want to believe that Shakespeare existed and that we can credit all of this wonderful work to him. Unfortunately, because of time limitations, we won't be reading any of Shakespeare's plays, but will instead look at a very few of his sonnets. We'll use Sonnet 18 as our example. A sonnet is a 14-line verse with a set rhyme scheme. Shakespearean sonnets have the rhyme scheme of AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, GG. So you can see the AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, GG. We have the day, temperate, May, date, shines, dim, declines, and trimmed, fade, owest, shade, growest, and see, and thee. These are broken into three quatrains, and a quatrain is a group of 4 lines that share a rhyme scheme. So I put these quatrains each in a different color. And a couplet. This closing couplet either confirms or denies what has been said before. Every Shakespearean sonnet takes this form. Another aspect of these sonnets is that they are written in what is called iambic pentameter. Each line has 5 feet or iambs. So we can see we have one here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. So the first iamb is shall I. The second iamb is compare. The third one is thee to. The fourth one is a sum. And the last one is MERS day. So notice that each iamb has one stressed and one unstressed syllable. And I've underlined the stressed syllables. So it's shall I compare thee to a sum MERS day. So Shakespeare wrote all of his sonnets in this format, and we'll be looking at several of them in this module. I hope you enjoy them. Thank you.